If I was still handing out superlatives, this would definitely be in the running for worst parenting. It's less of a movie and more of a vibe.
I keep on forgetting that Gerard Butler is actually Scottish.
Awful, and not even the good kind. Way better than I was expecting, but it takes a turn in Act 3. Kind of an underwhelming exploration of a very interesting premise. If it wasn't for Dave Bautista, I'd have nothing good to say about this movie. Not as good as Magic Mike XXL. This is everything I wish The Mean One had been. A pretty good Fantastic Four movie, missing almost everything that made good Ant-Man movies. It is exactly as fun as you'd expect a movie called Cocaine Bear to be. God bless Henry. Wraps things up a little too neatly, but it's easily my favorite of the Creed movies. Still have to watch the Rockies, though. 6 movies in, and there's still no Survivor's Guide to a Ghost Face attack. The more I think on it, the more I realize that the disconnect in performance between Billy and Shazam really does hurt this movie. Also use Mr. Mind, you cowards. I'm still not 100% if this was supposed to be a satire of Bob Ross in particular, or a satire of the deep, lurid world of public broadcast painting shows that I didn't know existed. This might be the first genuinely great quadrilogy in film history. At least it's the only one I've seen. Perfectly captures the stupid energy you'd expect from a bunch of D&D players, and I'm here for it. Way better than a Mario movie made by Illumination had any right to be. I didn't cover this one for the podcast, and the most I can find is that I thought it was okay, but all I really remember is that there were weird sound issues in the theater I saw it in for the first chunk. Did Toni Collette and Monica Bellucci make out in this one? I think so, but I genuinely don't recall. Better than The Nun 2, but only because the last 15 minutes devolve into unintentionally hilarious lunacy. There's an interesting and darkly funny exploration of abusive codependent relationships in here, even if you aren't immediately pulled in by the lure of Nick Cage as Dracula. But really, that should be enough. Even though it has to bend over backwards to justify the scenario, it is very good at being a profoundly uncomfortable horror film. I don't have a huge knowledge base for the French Revolution and its lead-up, but this is still a very interesting movie. Kelvin Harrison Jr. is a master of delivering the humble brag. It's a grittier, finished John Wick flick in World War II. This is probably the happiest, most satisfying kind of sad I've ever felt at the end of a movie. Even with Sean Bean, I have nothing good to say about this movie. A delightful car wreck of a movie anchored by Jason Momoa's glorious over-the-top performance. This is a weird combination of a vanity project and a self-deprecating therapy project. Unlike most Disney remakes, I actually like this one about as much as the original. Not the best example of horror monster as a metaphor for processing grief, but nothing you should worry about lurking under your bed. I'm in a really weird spot where I don't like this movie as much as most people seem to have, and I like it less for all the praise it gets, but as a wise spider said, I don't believe in consistency. Don't call it a comeback! Marketing did this movie a real disservice. There's an actually adorable love story and a great examination of living up to familial expectations underneath the Zootopia but for elements exterior. This is probably one of the best slasher movies I've ever seen, and it's almost not scary at all. I'm still not fully sure I understand this movie, but between the cast and the production design, I still love it. I do have some hard feelings. It's a solid, goofy, but fun adventure flick like every other Indiana Jones movie. Yes, even Crystal Skull. This movie makes up for a lot by being aggressively fucking funny. Sometimes literally. This movie was a poignant goddamn roller coaster, and I will watch it again and again. I was absolutely blown away. Phrasing. Not one of my personal favorites as A24 goes, but still an engaging horror movie. It has not supplanted the original 90s movie in my heart, but I don't think anything will, and it was still a fun time. It's well shot, well paced, properly claustrophobic, a great monster on a boat movie. I was expecting this movie to be a little rougher around the edges. It's not one of my favorites of this year, but it's a solid family flick, and I still really hope we get a sequel, even if it feels unlikely. I still think it's a dumber, more psychotic Booksmart, but it was fun. I know this film. I've seen it 1,000,000 times. I miss back when I was really excited for Conjuring movies. You woke the bear from his sleep. You cannot cry when he tangos. We shall continue. I'd probably have more of an opinion if my showing hadn't cut the subtitles off, but it's alright at least.
This might actually be the most predictable movie of 2023, if not the most predictable movie I've ever seen.
A visually amazing film, but it's not as smart with its messaging or storytelling as it likes to think it is. Nick Cage bias notwithstanding, This is a really beautiful, properly tense movie, even if it stops short of going full Ahab. Probably the genuine best horror movie I've seen all year. Definitely not the best horror movie I've seen all year. I'll do one night, then change the channel. A beautifully crafted movie that makes it very hard to enjoy Elvis music since I've watched it. Iman Vellani alone makes this worth the price of admission, and she's far from the only good thing this movie has going for it. If nothing else, I respect the commitment to the theme. Not accurate enough to be educational, not engaging enough to be entertaining. I haven't seen all the Godzilla movies, but this is easily my favorite of what I've seen. Not my favorite Ghibli movie, but a solid entry. I still can't believe after all my expectations that I have to turn around and say I liked this one. Fun enough adventure movie, but I've already forgotten most of it, and in that sense, a fitting end to the DCEU. Last time I thought an English language movie needed subtitles this badly, I was watching Tenet.